Hello students. In this video lesson, we will learn about cell theory. So let's start the video. Cell theory is the most fundamental theory in the biology, and it is a historic theory that changed the view of scientific world towards life and living organism. This theory is so important that everything we learn in biology directly or indirectly relates back to this. Cell theory is the universally accepted theory which talks about organization and structure of all organisms. Credit for developing the cell theory is usually given to the two German scientists named as Matthias Kleiden and Theodor Schwann. Though cell theory was first officially introduced in 1839, its roots date back to the time of discovery of cells by Robert Hooke. And as the discovery and study of the cell was impossible without microscopes, the study of the cell and development of cell theory was possible only because of the invention of compound microscope. Therefore, there were many helping hands that had helped to form this theory. Let's have a quick history of discovery of cell. The scientist who first discovered the cells was Robert Hooke. He used his primitive microscope to observe the cork tissues, where he saw honeycomb-like structures, which he named as cells, as he can relate these hexagonal structures to the place where monks used to live. However, Hooke did not know the real structure or the function, and he did not think the cells were alive. Inspired by Hooke's work, Anton van Leeuwenhoek began observation of various things, which included pond water and even his own dental scrapings. In this process, he discovered bacteria and called them animalcules, as they looked like small animals to him. These findings paved the way for wide acceptance that a hidden world existed just beyond the limits of human vision, and encouraged many scientists to take up the microscopic investigation. One such scientist was German botanist Matthias Kleiden, who studied various plant samples and was the first to recognize that all plants and all the different parts of the plants are composed of cells. Another German zoologist named as Theodor Schwann, who was studying animal tissue, also came to similar findings as that of the Kleiden. Together in 1839, they come up with this theory which changed the concept of life since then. So, what does the cell theory actually means? Let's break it down. There are three main principles, and the first one goes like this. All the living organisms are composed of one or more cells. This principle means that all the living organisms, from the bacteria to the plants to animals, all are composed of cells. It explains if anything is alive, it must be made up of cells. So cells are like the building blocks to construct the body of the living organism. The second principle states that the cell is the most basic unit of life. This principle explains that cell is the most basic and fundamental structure able to sustain to life in itself. There are other smaller structures inside the cell itself, which we call as cell organelles. However, they are not regarded as the basic unit, as they cannot show independent existence or life outside the cell. They cannot independently perform all the basic metabolic functions to live, but a cell can. A cell can perform all the functions that is needed to be alive. Unicellular organism provides the perfect practical explanation of this point. They are able to perform every functions that a living organism should need to survive. Thus, cell is the most basic unit of life. The third principle of the cell theory was added by another scientist named as Rudolf Virchow in 1855. It states that all the cells arise from pre-existing cells. Originally, in the older cell theory, Schleiden believes that cells are formed by the crystallization process, a statement based on the concept of spontaneous generation, which explains claiming that the living cells arise from the non-living things, right? That what is the spontaneous generation is all about. This statement was denied by the Rudolf Virchow, and Virchow added a new principle which goes like this,
Omnis cellula is cellular.
which simply means all the cells currently existing in the world comes from the pre-existing cells. Pre-existing means previously occurring cells. However, it has been suggested that the Rudolf Virchow had plagiarized this idea of the origin of cell from Robert Remarque. And these are other few points which are the parts of modern cell theory. Now let us go through few exceptions of the cell theory. The first example is of virus. As virus lacks the cellular organization and the metabolic functioning as that of the normal cell, virus is regarded as the exceptions of the cell theory. Just short and sweet explanation for that point. And the second example is of accepted hypha. Accepted hypha, as its name suggests, do not have the septa. That is the dividing segment or dividing walls, okay, to divide its body into distinct cells. Hence, it has multiple nucleus within it, and thus it is an exception for the cell theory, as it contains multiple nucleus in a single body, in a single cell, right? Another example is of Acetabularia, which is a giant alga, as it can grow up to 10 centimeter in height. It is a height that would be expected of a multicellular organism. However, the alga consists of just one cell, meaning that the Acetabularia is a unicellular organism. Thus, due to its large size and still being unicellular organism, Acetabularia is an exception to the cell theory. Our last exceptions are the bacteria and cyanobacteria. These organisms are the exceptions to the cell theory as they do not have a true nucleus and many other cell organelles. The cells which do not have a true nucleus are known as prokaryotic cells, and the organisms which are made up of or which contain the prokaryotic cells are prokaryotes. And so this much for this video. If you like this video, click the thumbs up and put a comment if you have some queries or any suggestions for me. And do subscribe for more videos.